Eyewitness News presents Newsmakers with your hosts, Jane Ann Bugda and Andy Mahalchik.
Hello and welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Andy Mahalchik.
And I'm Jane Ann Bugda. The Diamond City Partnership is helping to guide many downtown Wilkes-Barre restaurants and businesses through the challenges and concerns of the pandemic.
And now, as COVID restrictions begin to ease, the Diamond City Partnership is gearing up to welcome everyone to downtown Wilkes-Barre with a number of events and programs. Coming up, we'll introduce you to our guests.
And our conversation will begin when this edition of Newsmakers begins right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Jane Ann Bugda along with Andy Mahalchik, and there's always something good happening in downtown Wilkes-Barre. That is the motto of the Diamond City Partnership, and that's what we talk about today.
And we have three very special guests today that will explain how they handle the pandemic and also moving forward what we can expect in the great Diamond City downtown.
So they're here to share some good news, and we are joined by Larry Newman, who's the Executive Director of the Diamond City Partnership, Susan Magnotta, who is the Director of Marketing and Development, and Medina Saeed, who is the Marketing and Public Relations. She helps along with Susan in getting the word out and helping Larry get the word out about downtown Wilkes-Barre, and that's what we're talking about today. So thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. And Jane Ann and Andy, we're so thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, we're happy to have you because we're happy to talk a little bit about, some of what we've done in the past and looking forward to the future. So let's talk a little bit first about the history of the Diamond City Partnership. Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. Well, the Diamond City Partnership began 20 years ago. We are actually celebrating our 20th anniversary in 2021. And we were created as a result of the decline of downtown Wilkes-Barre as the region's traditional shopping district and traditional business center. So I think you guys know that in American cities, main streets developed primarily as places for people to shop. And after the Second World War, that role started to be diminished as people started moving to the suburbs and as stores started to follow them, first to shopping centers and then to shopping malls. And in downtown Wilkes-Barre, that trend played out in exactly the same way. And our story diverges a little from the story of most other main streets in our region because of what happened in 1972, which was the Agnes flood. And obviously the Agnes flood devastated downtown Wilkes-Barre and much of the Wyoming Valley. And the rebuilding effort after the 1972 flood gave everyone, I think, a false impression that we had completely started over again in downtown. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. What had happened was that the 1970s rebuilding of downtown Wilkes-Barre really served almost as a pacemaker. It gave our downtown 10 more years of life, but ultimately downtown Wilkes-Barre's retail sector, for the most part, succumbed to the same trends that affected every other main street in our region and in the country. It just happened 10 years later than everyone else's decline. And so we struggled for about 10 years through the 1990s. And finally in 2001, several different organizations, including the Downtown Wilkes-Barre Business Association and the Wilkes-Barre Chamber, came together to organize a series of public meetings. Everyone was welcome, and the point was to come up with a new vision for downtown Wilkes-Barre. And DCP was created as a result of those public meetings. We were created, in fact, to implement the strategies for change that came out of those visioning sessions. And so we created our organization. We started working first as a volunteer organization, and then later through the Downtown Wilkes-Barre Business Improvement District, which we created in 2007. And we've been at it ever since.
Hard to believe it. We're talking, Larry, 20 years, 2 decades worth of hard work. And, we here at Eyewitness News has covered all the efforts through every step of the way. And it's really amazing. And that's why we really wanted to focus on, your future, what's the goal moving forward. What kind of benefits does the partnership give to businesses in downtown Wilkes-Barre? What if they say I'm not part of it or I'm hearing about it? What can they expect to get or receive as far as assistance from your organization?
Sure. Well, I think we're probably best known for the Business Improvement District, which a lot of people call the BID. And the BID is essentially a framework that allows a group of property owners to join together over a defined period of time and assess themselves to provide certain defined supplementary services to a given neighborhood. And that's just what we have been doing here in downtown Wilkes-Barre since 2007. The bid is actually funded by 310 private commercial property owners and 10 different nonprofits within downtown Wilkes-Barre's commercial core. And the work of the bid primarily focuses on the small scale improvements that help to make the larger investments possible. So what are those improvements? As an example, during 2020, throughout the pandemic, we have a 3-person clean team that works 6 days a week, and they removed more than 4,300 pounds of trash from downtown sidewalks, doorways, and gutter lines. We removed more than 100 different graffiti tags from properties and buildings within downtown Wilkes-Barre last year. Every year, we fund and maintain almost 200 seasonal floral hanging baskets on street lamps throughout downtown's commercial core. We've installed wayfinding signs throughout downtown. We actually use our funds to provide an additional 430 hours a year in additional police special detail patrols above and beyond the police special details that are provided by the city of Wilkes-Barre. We administer a facade grant program that has funded more than 45 different projects. We collect data about downtown. We make that data available to potential investors, to everyone from folks who are looking at opening a business in a downtown storefront to major investors looking at undertaking major downtown developments. And we are really the first point of contact for those people. And lastly, we are really the downtown planner. We convene the discussions and we advance the plans that help to make downtown revitalization possible. And lastly, and this is something that Medina and Susan are going to talk about, we work on the image of downtown Wilkes-Barre and we market all of the good things that are happening in downtown through our various social media channels and through the events that we have been putting on and that we will be putting on in the coming months.
And Larry, it's interesting when you're going over the list of things you provide downtown, you know, people want to feel safe, they want to look at a place, and garbage is really a big deal. I mean, people want to come to a clean place, correct? I mean, expound on that a little bit. You're talking about the hanging plants, signage, that kind of thing. I mean, you know, what we've seen over the years, I've been around for a long time covering stories in downtowns all across northeastern and central Pennsylvania, and it's interesting, at least what I've seen anecdotally, the downtowns that are successful are those that are clean, safe, and people enjoy walking around.
That's absolutely right. People respond to visual cues. So much of this is about basic psychology. And the reality is that people respond more positively to an environment where things are well tended and well cared for. That didn't matter so much back in the days when Main Street was the only game in town. But today, there is a lot of competition. And so downtowns, if they want to be successful, have to up their game. And the only effective way to do that is to work together. And so that's what we have been doing. Now, keep in mind, it's not easy. You know, downtown Wilkes-Barre is a place where before the pandemic, we had more than 11,000 people coming to work here every day. We had almost 8,000 college students, 3,500 residents, and all of those visitors that are just coming to downtown to do all the other things that people visit downtowns to do in our region. And so there's an awful lot of traffic, and it is not always easy to maintain the public environment. But that's one of the basic jobs that we have taken on because individual property owners can't do it themselves, and they shouldn't do it themselves. And also, it's really not the job of the city of Wilkes-Barre.
And Larry, I don't mean to interrupt, but you did mention that you're talking about image. So, you say Susan and Medina are working on the image of downtown. Talk a little bit about what makes a downtown worth visiting, Susan and Medina. What are you working on the image? How are you getting people to come downtown?
Thanks, Jane Ann. Well, we need downtown to be a place, especially right now, where people want to come. And Andy, you had said that downtowns need to be clean, safe, and beautiful. And what happened in our downtown to our businesses that got hurt during the pandemic was that people left. They left because they weren't working at the companies anymore, and the Kirby Center's been shuttered. So all of the things that brought people to downtown to go into those restaurants and patronize the restaurants and small businesses aren't going on anymore. So we've started to create events to bring people downtown. At the end of last year, our restaurants were really struggling, and we did a full-fledged marketing program to show people that we have an international dining district down here. We have amazing people and restaurant owners that invested in downtown Wilkes-Barre and our region that came from all different countries. You can get cuisines from around the world in downtown. So we did a big marketing push called the Diamond City Dine Out last year. We had a lot of support from partners and sponsors like Highmark, Geisinger, the Times Leader Media Group, financially supported those efforts. We had a business retention program that we did here because, it can be clean, safe, and beautiful, but if our storefront's empty, we're in big trouble. So we hit the ground running with boots on the ground efforts to look at our businesses individually, our restaurants, to see what they needed. A lot of the restaurant owners spoke English as a second language, so we wanted to make sure that they were able to understand and access the grants that were available. So Medina spent a lot of time individually sitting with a lot of the restaurant owners, and we just really wanted them to get through this and take care of them. And so now to bring the businesses or to bring people downtown, we're starting to do a few more events. So the Fine Arts Fiesta is coming, as Larry said, to town. It's going to be a little smaller, but I'm sure it'll be wonderful in the middle of May. And we are going to do another Diamond City Dine Out during that weekend where the restaurants will offer deals, and we're going to hopefully push people to the restaurants to enjoy the food because there won't be food trucks on the square. So, and one exciting thing that we're doing is we're going to activate Midtown Village with live music and the pop-up shops that were on the square were moved to Midtown Village. We're going to fill those with vendors. Susquehanna Brewing Company is going to be there that Saturday. And then that kicks off our Sunsets on South Main events that are going to run from June until September on the third Thursday of every month from 5 to 7 p.m. There'll be happy hours with live music and SBC to bring people downtown. And we're also going to do a Downtown Discoveries Passport program for children in the months of June and July in conjunction with the YMCA and the Osterhout Library. And we just really want to see the streets filled with people enjoying our downtown amenities again and bring children and families and adults back to downtown Wilkes-Barre.
And let me talk, if I can, ask you folks about Wilkes-Barre is a college town. It's been a college town for a long time. We also have colleges in the area, Luzerne County, Misericordia, Mary Wilkes. How big of a deal, pardon me, Kings, of course, yeah, absolutely. I'm a Wilkes grad, Jane's a Kings grad, so we're gonna make sure we balance it out here. It's all good, but with the pandemic, with the college students coming back, how big of a deal is it this year more than ever because of the pandemic? And also, with the freshmen coming in, you're really getting new eyes and people in downtown who maybe never saw downtown Wilkes-Barre before. What role do the colleges play in downtown Wilkes-Barre?
I could speak on this a little bit. I think downtown Wilkes-Barre is unique in that we are anchored by two major colleges, Kings and Wilkes, as you mentioned. So it's important for us to capitalize on this because, like you said, to have the college students in the area, it's such a big opportunity for the downtown. They can bring so much business and life to our city. So to capitalize on this in the best way that we can and to kind of integrate the community, we've created a college ambassador program where we're actually working with students from King's and Wilkes that we've interviewed, spoke with. They're great students, to kind of come up with unique ways to market our downtown to the college students. We actually conducted a survey this past semester, and after we got about 800 some responses from both colleges, and we learned that one of the biggest issues with the college students is that they simply don't know about the things that are going on in the downtown, which is why they're so disengaged. So through this program, we're trying to kind of build that bridge, fill that gap. The students are also working with local businesses like the Beehive Gift Shop, Bronco's Brazilian Steakhouse, one-on-one to kind of come up with unique marketing tools to kind of get the students into their doors, let the students know that we have such great amenities right outside their doors, right outside their dorms. And again, just kind of get them as involved in the community as possible because they are such a great asset to our downtown.
And you know, when you say about college students coming downtown, and you mentioned that they are excited about it, and that you have to bring them downtown, is there anything specifically that college students are looking for in a downtown area that maybe we don't have right now?
It's actually funny. The things that the students are looking for are things that we already have, like nice restaurants, nice places to go hang out. We have those things and we have all the pieces of the things they ask for. They simply just don't know that they're there. So through this program, we're trying to create more visibility for our businesses and kind of connect them with the schools because they just don't have that connection. So they're not fully aware that they have all the things that they ask for. They're like, oh, I wish we had this. We have those things. They just don't know about it. So I think that's one of our biggest goals is bridging that gap again and bringing awareness to the students and integrating them into the community.
And then I would imagine also, of course, being a parent, my daughter graduated from college already, but I remember as a parent having her visit different schools, it was important to me about, again, what is my daughter going to have in that community, downtown? What's down there? Is it safe? Is it, you were mentioning before, Larry, it's not just the academic. Of course, academics are the #1 priority, but if the school is great and everything around the school isn't that great, geez, I'm not sure if I'm sending my daughter to that town.
That's absolutely correct. And in fact, that's part of the reason why both King's College and Wilkes Universities have been such strong supporters of DCP since the very beginning, because they both recognize that their schools cannot be islands in an otherwise declining downtown. Their opportunity to grow and attract students is directly related to downtown Wilkes-Barre's vibrancy as a neighborhood and to the perception of downtown as a place where people want to be. And of course, it's self-reinforcing, Andy. If it's good for college students, that means it's also more attractive for people who want to work in downtown. It's more attractive for people considering living in downtown. And it's more attractive for people considering just coming downtown for dining and entertainment once those things start up back in earnest again as we get our way out of this current crisis.
And what we're going to do right now, we're going to take a quick break, but you can find information on today's show on pahomepage.com. We're under the Newsmakers link, and you're watching Newsmakers. We are a proud recipient of 3 Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasting Awards for Excellence in Public Affairs Programming, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Jane Ann Bugda along with Andy Mahalchik, and the Diamond City Partnership is the topic of conversation today. We are joined by Larry Newman, Susan Magnotta, and Medea Saeed. And one of the nice things about I enjoy every week is the newsletter that I receive in my email, and it tells me about the events going on in downtown Wilkes-Barre. It has about some programs. I love the picture that tells about the history of some of the buildings downtown. Tell us a little bit about this newsletter that everyone should sign up for, because it's really a little joy.
Sure, I can speak about this. We use our newsletter as a tool to kind of support our downtown businesses, as well as a resource to highlight different things that make downtown Wilkes-Barre special. Every week, like you said, we like to highlight a few different things. We highlight a different business downtown. We highlight a downtown restaurant, different historic landmarks. We also like to outline any and all upcoming events happening in downtown Wilkes-Barre. So yeah, it's a great resource to kind of keep up with all things that are happening and to kind of stay in touch with downtown Wilkes-Barre.
And what is the Keystone Communities Main Street program? How big of a deal? What is it? And expound on what it means to downtown Wilkes-Barre.
Well, the Main Street approach, as we call it, is really the primary way in which communities across this country have successfully revitalized their downtowns and their main streets during the last 40 years. It started in 1977 as a pilot program with 3 communities, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania adopted this model in the early 1980s. And in fact, 2 of Pennsylvania's original Main Street communities are here in our region, Jim Thorpe and Williamsport. And since that time, multiple communities across the state have become designated Main Street programs under the state's Main Street program. And it provides technical assistance, it provides priority access to certain kinds of funding programs, but most importantly, it provides a support network for the work that volunteers are doing in individual communities. We call the Main Street approach the 4-point approach because it's comprehensive. It's built around 4 points that we feel are absolutely necessary for downtown revitalization. There's organization, which is creating consensus and building capacity among the folks in a community who are trying to revitalize a downtown. There's design, which means enhancing the physical assets, the things that make a downtown special, particularly its historic resources. There's promotion, working on downtown's image. And there's economic vitality, which is establishing new uses for downtown's buildings and capitalizing on downtown's critically important existing assets. In order to successfully maintain a downtown revitalization effort in this day and age, you really have to work on all 4 of those points at once. And it's no accident that if you look around our region and you look around the state, the communities that seem to be doing the best at downtown revitalization are those that are either currently following the Main Street approach or that have followed the Main Street approach in the past. We're really happy that last year we were selected by the state to become a Main Street community. We joined 2 other communities in our region that are also designated Main Streets, Hazleton and Danville, and we are one of 10 designated Main Street communities across Pennsylvania right now.
And I want to talk a little bit about, we have about 4 minutes left, and I want to talk a little bit about some new things to downtown Wilkes-Barre. You have the Wilkes-Barre Walk-a-Texture tour that you can see the downtown. And tell us a little bit about that, and tell us a little, we have the farmers market coming up, you have fine arts. Tell us a little bit about some of these programs. We're going to be revitalizing the train station to be a visitor center. How does all this bring people to downtown?
Well, I think all of these things are helping to reanimate our downtown, which is something that is critically important right now. Obviously, downtown Wilkes-Barre had the wind taken out of its sails, as did every major downtown in the country during the last year. And now we're trying to actually regain our momentum. Part of the way that we're doing that is by activating our downtown public environment. So Susan and Medina talked about the different events and activities that we're going to be undertaking. We also, however, have not stopped on working on the other aspects of downtown's revitalization. You talked about the historic railroad station, which is now going to become the new home of Luzerne County's Visitors Bureau. That's critically important because it ties in to our downtown's history. It also ties into one of our key regional assets, the Delaware and Lehigh Trail, for which Wilkes-Barre serves as the northern terminus. That railroad station was built originally in the 1860s by the railroad whose right-of-way forms the backbone of the D&L Trail from Wilkes-Barre to Bristol. And so as they complete that trail, it's really wonderful that we can help tell our portion of the D&L story right here in downtown Wilkes-Barre.
Okay.
As far as the Walk-a-Texture tour goes, this is an endeavor that was launched by Wilkes-Barre's health department. And they got a grant from the Pennsylvania Department of Health, And again, it's a way to reinforce one of our key assets, walkability, while giving people an opportunity to get exercise and learn more about downtown's spectacular historic architecture and about all the amazing history that we have here. And you can find out more about that on our website as well.
Okay, we have about a minute and a half left. Very quickly, hotel projects downtown Wilkes-Barre, how important are they? I mean, on Main Street, down on River Street, how important are those projects in the works for downtown?
Well, I think we are very excited about new development in downtown. It shows that we are coming out of the pandemic. We had a lot of momentum going into 2020. We had seen from 2007 through 2020, downtown Wilkes-Barre saw 55 new occupied storefronts, more than 200 new market rate housing units. We've got 30 new housing units on the way, more than $200 million in new private investment during the last 15 years in downtown Wilkes-Barre. But we can't rest on our laurels because we still have a long way to go. And I'm
going to interrupt you because we're coming to the end of our program. So excuse me for this, but I do want to remind everyone that they can find out about all the events for the Diamond City Partnership going on in downtown Wilkes-Barre. They're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They do a great job in keeping everyone up to date. We have the Fine Arts Fiesta coming up, Farmers Market, and a lot of events coming up. So thank you, Larry, Susan, and Medina, for joining us.
Thank you.
For Andy Mahalchik and everyone behind the scenes, I'm Jane Ann Bugda. Thank you so much for making Newsmakers part of your day, and we'll talk again next time.